Hello, and welcome to your virtual mission trip to the Central Africa region with a special emphasis on the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We at Medical Ambassadors are so glad you've decided to take this journey with us. As noted, on your trip we'll be traveling to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or as it is commonly referred to, the DRC. In spite of travel restrictions due to COVID-19 or tribal conflicts, through modern technology, we can travel virtually to places where we can't presently go in person. It is not as advantageous as going in person, but we want to make your virtual mission trip to the DRC as much like a real mission trip as possible. In order to help do that, on your journey with us, you'll learn interesting facts about the region and history of the Greater Congo area and the DRC in particular, including about the land, some of the culture, and its history. You'll learn about CHE, the process MAI uses to help communities live better lives physically, spiritually, socially, emotionally, and economically. You'll meet our regional coordinator for Central Africa, who will lead you on forays into a couple of CHE villages in the DRC. You'll hear about CHE and how it's changed lives in Africa, what CHE is and what CHE isn't, and you'll learn how you can be partners with MAI in the work in Central Africa or other countries around the world. Are you ready? Okay, let's get started. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is located in Central Africa and is bordered by 9 countries and the Southern Atlantic. This area once belonged to the nation of Belgium that colonized it in 1879. It became the Congo Free State in 1885 and was known as the Belgian Congo starting in 1908. It remained the colony of Belgium until gaining its independence in 1960. The capital was once called Leopoldville after King Leopold II of Belgium, but after gaining their independence, it was renamed in 1964 because of bad connotations from the time of his rule. Even with independence, for 5 more years all was not well due to political, military, and economic instability that came to be known as the Congo Crisis. Even to this day, the area is often afflicted by intertribal and ethnic instability. Between 1971 and 1997, the country was known as Zaire, which means river in its African roots. The country was renamed to the Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1997. If you're old enough, you may recall that Kinshasa, Zaire was the location of the famous heavyweight boxing championship fight between then undefeated world champion George Foreman and the former champion Muhammad Ali on October 30th, 1974. Over 60,000 people attended the fight, which was arguably called the greatest sporting event of the century. Though Ali was a 4-1 underdog, he reclaimed the championship in the 8th round. Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi paid most of the prize money of $5 million each for Foreman and Ali, a huge amount of money at that time. Zaire was established following Mobutu's seizure of power in a military coup in 1965, following 5 years of political upheaval following independence, known as the Congo Crisis. A wider campaign of authenticity, ridding the country of the influences from the colonial area of the Belgian Congo, was also launched under Mobutu's direction. Part of this authenticity campaign required everyone to take native names and to stop using names that were foreign in origin. Weakened by the termination of American support after the end of the Cold War, Mobutu was forced to declare a new republic in 1990 to cope with demands for change. By the time of its downfall, Zaire was characterized by widespread political cronyism, corruption, and economic mismanagement. In the 1990s, as the eastern parts of the country destabilized in the aftermath of the Rwanda genocide and growing tribal violence within, Rwanda Hutu militia forces had fled Rwanda and started using Hutu refugee camps in eastern Zaire as bases for incursions against Rwanda. These Hutu militia forces allied with the Zairian armed forces, the FAZ, to launch a campaign against Congolese ethnic Tutsis in eastern Zaire. In turn, these Zairian Tutsis formed a militia to defend themselves against attacks. When the Zairian government began to escalate its massacres in November 1996, The Tutsi militias erupted in rebellion against Mobutu, starting what would become known as the First Congo War. During the Rwandan genocide of 1994 by the Rwandan government against the Tutsis and Hutu peoples, 10 to 12,000 refugees a day flowed into the eastern DRC city of Goma from Rwanda, creating a huge humanitarian crisis. The Tutsi militia was soon joined by various opposition groups and supported by several countries, including Rwanda and Uganda. This coalition, led by Laurent Désiré Kabila, became known as the Alliance des Forces Démocratiques pour la Libération des Congo Zaire, or the AFDL. The AFDL, seeking the broader goal of ousting Mobutu, made significant military gains in early 1997, and by the middle of 1997 had almost completely overrun the country. The only thing that seemed to slow the AFDL forces down was the country's ramshackle infrastructure. Irregularly used dirt paths and river ports were all that connected some areas to the outside world. Following failed peace talks between Mobutu and Kabila, Mobutu fled into exile in Morocco on May the 17th. Kabila named himself president, consolidated power around himself and the AFDL, and marched unopposed into Kinshasa 3 days later. On May 21, Kabila officially reverted the name of the country to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In 1996, Mobutu fled the country, leaving Kabila's forces in charge. Mobutu died within 4 months after he fled into exile in Morocco. Not even churches had escaped Mobutu's policies. In December 1971, Mobutu proceeded to strip power from the churches. From then on, only 3 churches were recognized in the DRC: the Church of Christ in Zaire, the Kimbanguist Church, and the Roman Catholic Church. Today, the country considers itself to be largely Christian, as 95% of the citizens claim that as their religious identity. Of that 95%, Catholicism accounts for half of it, while Protestant groups account for another 20%. The capital of the country today remains Kinshasa, with a population of nearly 16 million people. It is the 3rd largest urban area in all of Africa, behind only Cairo and Lagos. The DRC is a large country, in excess of 2.3 million square kilometers. That makes the DRC the 2nd largest country in landmass in Africa, behind only Algeria. It is the 11th largest country in the world. It's larger than any European country and is large enough to contain all of Spain, Germany, France, Sweden, Norway, and Lithuania within its borders. As of 2020, the population is over 101 million people, making it the 4th most populous country in Africa behind Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Egypt, and the 13th most populous country in the world. The population is growing very rapidly, and it has been estimated that it could double in the next 22 years. This rapid growth will present many challenges for the DRC. French is the main language of the DRC, but there are over 200 ethnic groups and 250 languages spoken within the country, making it one of the most diverse countries on the planet. The yellow star on the DRC flag represents unity and the bright future of the country, while the blue represents peace and hope. The yellow bands remind us of the country's rich natural resources, while the red is a reminder of those who shed their blood for their country. Even though the country is blessed with rich natural resources, the DRC remains a very poor country economically, with an estimated per capita income of $978 for 2020. Globally, this ranks 183rd out of 186 countries. It is a country with rich deposits, though largely untapped, of gold, copper, diamonds, and conflict metals such as tungsten, tin, and tantalum. These conflict metals are often controlled by violent groups that generate a great deal of instability. Geographically speaking, the country is classified as a tropical savanna and averages 47 inches of rain per year. Located on the equator, temperatures range from the 70s as lows to the upper 80s all year round, except for the eastern parts of the country, which is at a higher elevation and is therefore cooler. So you'll want to be sure you pack accordingly for your trip. The Congo River is the deepest river in the world, reaching depths of between 720 to 820 feet. The Congo is the second longest river in Africa after the Nile and ranks number 2 in the world behind the Amazon in terms of the volume of discharge of the river. The region is home to many African species, including endangered bonobos and lowland and mountain gorillas. The lowland gorilla is found only in this region. Dian Fossey, made famous by the movie Gorillas in the Mist, which starred Sigourney Weaver as Fossey, began her study of gorillas in the DRC, but was forced by the Congo crisis to move her research to neighboring Rwanda. The Virunga National Park, the oldest national park on the African continent, is one of the most biologically diverse places on planet Earth and home to the critically endangered mountain gorilla. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mount Nyiragongo is considered by many to be the DRC's most magnificent single site. An active volcano, the mountain is only 12.4 miles from the city of Goma that boasts a population of over 1 million people. Because of the imminent threat to Goma, it is considered the most dangerous volcano in the world. Overpopulation and continual conflicts within the DRC have led to food shortages, which have therefore increased the use of bushmeat, meat that comes from any wild species. Bushmeat is an important source of protein for millions in the DRC, especially in rural areas where it makes up 50 to 70% of meals. For those who cannot afford to buy farm produce or meat from the market, bushmeat is a free meal. A recent study in the DRC revealed that the rate with which animals are being taken from the Congo each year far exceeds the sustainable rate of 20%. Recently, the prevalence of hunting for bushmeat has declined because of the risk to hunters and butchers from the Ebola virus from specifically ape and bat meat. Interestingly, warfare, more than any other reason, has led to reduced species population. When a militia reached the Garamba National Park in 1997, within 3 months, half of the park's elephants, 2/3 of the buffalo, and 3/4 of its hippos vanished. The reason conflict is so damaging to wildlife is the increased use of bushmeat to feed soldiers, the prevalence of modern weaponry, and the lucrative industry of selling exotic animals and ivory, as well as the general failure of law and order. That's probably enough background for now. Before you meet your hosts for your virtual mission trip to the Congo, it will be useful for you to know and understand a little bit about CHE, or Community Health Evangelism, that MAI uses to help develop villages and communities around the world. So first of all, let's talk about what CHE is. CHE is a strategy that is used to integrate both physical and spiritual ministry to villages and communities around the world. CHE is based upon a foundational set of principles, and it provides a structure and a process to follow when working within those communities. CHE is an approach to work with people and not to do things for people that they can and should do for themselves. CHE has been proven in over 40 years of experience and is used in many, many settings around the world. MAI alone has involved itself in over 2,600 communities and has been used to impact the lives of over 2.5 million people. MAI works directly in 40 countries using CHE and in another 35 countries with our partner organizations. Among other things, you might think of CHE as a discipleship strategy or a church planting strategy that is best understood as a way for people to share their lives with one another in a village and a community in an ongoing, holistic process that involves physical, spiritual, emotional, and social change that also multiplies organically. CHE uses a process of facilitation and learning called lepsis, and it engages people at all levels, from adult through children, through a database of over 10,000 wide-ranging lessons on a variety of topics. CHE depends on God and on the Holy Spirit to engage with the people in the community and with the Che facilitators. Che is Christ-centered and seeks to bring glory to the Son of God. Che teaches people to identify not only their needs, but the resources that are available for them to use in solving those problems that they face. Che allows people to serve Jesus and their fellow human beings to help fulfill God's intentions for His kingdom and the church here on earth. There are over 51,000 people who MAI has trained in Che and who volunteer to serve their communities. Some people are confused by our name and they think that Che and Medical Ambassadors is a ministry that provides clinical medical services such as could be found in a clinic or a hospital. That is not the case. Che is also not a sponsorship program where people send money to support children. Che most definitely is not a humanitarian idea that leaves Jesus out of the picture. And Che is not funded by people outside the local community, but rather the local community use whatever resources they have at their disposal to resolve their own problems. And Che is also not based on ideas or suggestions imposed by those outside the community. The locals identify the problems that they have, they develop an understanding of their own issues, and they understand and create priorities and then plan and execute projects to solve those problems. If you'd like to know more about MAI or Che, there will be links at the end of this virtual mission trip that you can use to contact us for more information. We'd be glad to have a more detailed conversation with you. One final thing. In the video clips you'll be seeing, Che goes by the acronym SEC, so don't let that confuse you. When they refer to ASEC or ASEC, they're referring to the Che volunteers who do the actual training within the communities. We're about to meet Dr. Nzuzi and his wife Chantal, but here's some information that will help you get to know them a little bit better. They met while teaching in the same secondary school, got engaged, and eventually married. Now they've been married for 29 years and have 3 children. Nzuzi earned his doctorate in missiology from Trinity Evangelical School in Deerfield, Illinois. He started working with MAI in 2004 and chose MAI because of its commitment to the use of community health evangelism's holistic approach, as well as the loving and caring people who worked at MAI. Now, let's meet them.
Welcome to our virtual short-term mission. This is Kinshasa, Congo. I invite you to see, to watch everything that God is doing through our ministry here in Kinshasa, and I'm sure you will be thrilled and you will be touched, and I am inviting you that next time you can plan a trip here in the Congo to see live everything that God is doing here, how He's changing a community, transforming people spiritually and physically. So I invite you to follow our video and see everything that we are doing here in Kinshasa. Okay, welcome. Thank you. Hi, my name is Nzuzi. I'm the chair leader here in Central Africa, coordinating almost 4 countries, including DRC, Burundi, Rwanda, Angola, Central Africa, and Congo, Brazzaville. It's amazing to tell you the things that the Lord has been doing through our ministry since 2004. We came back from America to begin this great movement here in the Congo. Healing life, touching them physically, spiritually, and by God's grace, the Lord has multiplied His work here in the DRC Congo. Currently, we have 945 community doing chair here in the DRC, and besides that, thousands of cheerleaders, including trainers, multiplicators, and chairs. So you cannot imagine. The Lord has been so gracious, so loving to us, and now we keep, innovating. We keep changing people's life. We keep moving with transformation, as I said, spiritually, physically, and touching lives, touching families, touching communities. So this has been so great. And once more, I invite you to come next year so that you can see, firsthand how the gospel through Che is transforming communities by God's grace.
As you know, my name is Chantal Mukawa. I am the wife of this handsome guy. Mm-hmm. As you know, we have 3 children, Hosanna, Jire, and Trigo. All of them are in America. So I'm very happy, very, very happy to work with my husband in this program of Chi. It makes me really, really, really happy to see also as people, the life of people are changing. This is very amazing. So this program, may God bless it.
Please let me mention 3 leaders that I've been able to work with through these new community places. One of them is Aris. As you see, Aris is from Mitende. When we went there, people did not know about Che, and the first thing we did was to do a vision seminar with them. And then through that vision seminar, we came with a TOT1 training, and then they selected themselves committees, and they selected chairs, and then before we know it, they start going to the community themselves, teaching people things regarding their spiritual life. Mitende is known for people who are doing a lot of things related to sorcery and all of that. But Aris was helping them, presenting the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And many people in that process gave their life to the Lord, and they had to bring them to the church for discipleship. That's where we are. And then, of course, physically, so many needs as a new community. They had to go with the team, visiting, seeing families with issues of poverty. They were trying to help them with a few things here and there. And they even are helping now people to begin, arranging the roads who are bad due to a lot of rains, and the roads are being destroyed, and the Che communities are helping. So really there is a future. There is a great hope that in the long run, the Lord is going to make a big movement here in Miteni. Mama Cecile is a very loving woman, trained as a missionary, and she went to Zamba Telecom, this area, to begin a church plant. She started this church plant in this area, poor area, as you can see. But because of church helped her, to mobilize people from the church and then relaunched in a community to do mission. So through evangelism, through discipleship, and through trainings and many things, people are going, as you see, in the villages, they are going in the houses, they are going, and Mama Cecile trying her best. She's trying her best even that women be educated so that they can learn a few things so that they can help their houses. Here also I see that in future the Lord is going to do great and mighty things here in Zamba Telecom. The other church cheerleader is Ndongala. Ndongala is also a missionary, trained at the School of World Mission, and got acquainted with him, and then he saw the need from the area, as you can see, and then when he went, he used chair principles, prayer, and mobilizing people from inside, and then from there his church was established. Once the church was established, and then through church, they started reaching the communities through discipleship, preventing sicknesses, helping people to grow food and all of that. And before we know it, they felt that there was no a place to buy medication for kids who were so sick in the communities. And through the help of church, they have a little pharmacy, a little center that they themselves, they brought little medications so that they are selling to the community. So through the gospel, they are committed to reach the whole area where they are. So we thank God for these three key leaders that we've been working with to implement the church in this area. And our hope is to do more and more, because we are getting so many requests from people who wants to do this job, to change their communities through church program.
Kinshasa 24, October 2020, our delegation led by Adam and Tumbula, visits the Mitende missionary site. Mitende is a peripheral district of Kinshasa located about 10 hours from the city center in the municipality of Mont-Ngofola. On site is located the missional church The Fruit of the Spirit, which is led by Pastor Eris. SEC program has been there for a few months and is operational. Every day, the ASEC, who are the members of the field, sensitize the community both physically and spiritually. We had the opportunity to attend some of their activities. Today, aware of the current crisis and as best they can, the ASEC are mobilizing the population against this COVID-19 pandemic, which is in full swing, gnawing both our country and the world. Their goal is to raise awareness among the population so that this disease may not surprise them. For an urban-rural population, a considerable number of whom live in poverty, the SEC program, through its message of love for Christ, offers moral and physical comfort, thus equipping the population for a holistic transformation. What pushes the inhabitants to take ownership of the said program and to request more moments to share with the ASEC, as this father expresses it?
Togoya papa. lokola toza nde mpo na bino mpo na nini bitinda oyo biso tozwi yango biso mpe tozalaki kaka lokola bino donc lokola bino nde toyebaki makambo ebele te me ntango tokomi tobandi kotanga mikanda tobandi koyoka mpe malakisi bandeko bapesi biso mpe tokomi oyo tozali yango wana liloba nzambe elobi bo oyo ozwi mpe pesa epai ya bato yango biso toyoka mpe kopesa bino mpe na yango ya site ya Mikendi na komi na Munda Fula sikoyo toza kopresente programme sec ya biso site ya Mikendi. Alors biso oyo tozali awa biso nde toyoka baformateur toza baformateur na cadre oyo tozali na baformateur na biso toye kozwa mpe oyo baza lokola bakomite na biso komite na biso bande bazosala lokola kokamba biso kokonduire biso koide biso na makambo oyo tozosala na kote oyo toza na baasec bamosusu baye te parceke kala kaka milie nde tozali toza kobundisabundisaka bato mosusu bazali apeshe me na kati ya komite bango nde baza baasec na biso na bamembre mosusu baye te
biso tozali baasec ntango tozali kokende komemela bato mateya oyo bato bazozala transforme mpe bazali kosepela na lolenge oyo bazoyambela mateya ezomema mpe mbongwama na mamilie na biso yango bato bazosepela mpona kolandaka mateya yango mpe mingi.
Moi c'est Adamo. Nous sommes venus faire une visite sur le site Mitende. Sur ce site, le programme SEC est implanté. Alors, ce programme a de l'impact sur la communauté. Comme vous le voyez, cette communauté, c'est une communauté urbano-rurale où il y a plusieurs problèmes. La population est confrontée à plusieurs difficultés d'ordre matériel, financier et spirituel. Alors, à travers ces programmes, nous essayons d'amener les gens à la prise en charge, à la transformation de leur vie, sur le plan physique, spirituel et sur le plan moral. À travers notre programme qui est intégral, holistique, nous amenons la population à se prendre en charge. Nous amenons la population à trouver des solutions à leurs problèmes, que des solutions ne soient pas importées, mais des problèmes soient trouvés, que des solutions soient trouvées sur des problèmes qu'on trouve sur place.
Solo kwa ba formateur ya programme SEC na site ya Mitende eloko oyo vraiment epesi biso makasi pe esengo mpona nini kobake programme oyo eye kosunga biso na mwa makambo mwa ebele eza sur le plan spirituel ezala na cadre ya vie ya bato tozomona nde nini ememi changement bato bango moko bakomi koluka koyeba lisusu na makasi kokota lisusu yango mingi mpona nini programme oyo eza sur le plan sanitaire bato base retrouver eza sur le plan social bato base retrouver mpe bato bango moko bamipesi mpenza na kati ya programme oyo. Alors oyo etikali kaka na biso eni kolobaki bato oyo bamemi biso programme oyo tozonga esu nsima te tokende yango kaka liboso mpo ezali eloko oyo epesi vraiment vie na kati ya site na biso.
A few days after this warm visit, a new descent is scheduled. This time at Zamba Telecom site. Due to poor road conditions, it took us almost 3 hours to reach the site. At the site, the Bethlehem of the Eternal Missionary Church is located there. delegation is waiting for us to visit the site.
Merci beaucoup. Je m'appelle Madame Cécile Mbombo. Je suis mère de 4 enfants, je suis mariée. Je suis la visionnaire de l'église missionnelle Bethléem de l'Éternel. L'église missionnelle Bethléem de l'Éternel a été implantée le 19 mars 2016. Maintenant là, nous avons 4 ans d'existence depuis que ça a commencé. L'église est située à Zamba Telecom. Ici, nous sommes à Zamba Telecom. Ça, c'est le quartier Seke. Nous avons 2 quartiers. Ici, c'est Seke. De l'autre côté, c'est Ngoudiabaka. Mais ça, c'est Seke, là où l'église est située. L'église représente plus de 170-180 membres. Nous avons l'habitude de nous réunir chaque lundi, les programmes. Le lundi, nous avons le programme des choristes. Les chantres se réunissent de 15h à 16h. À 15h, 16h, 16h30. Et le mardi, nous avons culte d'intercession. Là où nous intercédons pour nos problèmes, nos programmes, nos cas. Et le mercredi, c'est le jour de l'enseignement. Le jeudi, comme aujourd'hui, le matin ici, c'est le programme de maman. Les mamans se réunissent chaque jeudi de 10h à 12h pour leur réunion en ce qui concerne les mamans. Et le vendredi, nous avons notre culte de délivrance. Les samedis, c'est pour les jeunes. Les jeunes se réunissent le samedi. Et vers les 14h, 16h, c'est pour les chantres. Et vers les 17h, 18h, là, c'est pour la jeunesse. Et en ce qui concerne le programme SEC, nous avons les membres des comités, nous avons les transformateurs. Et nous avons aussi les membres. En ce qui concerne le programme, nous avons les membres qui se réunissent 1 fois par mois. Il n'y a que la comité qui savent quand est-ce qu'il faut se réunir. Et après, il y a le membre qui ont l'habitude de descendre 1 fois au moins sur terrain. 1 fois sur terrain pour aller transmettre en ce qui concerne spirituellement et physiquement. Je prends le cas du coronavirus. Comme maintenant, là, tel que nous vous parlons, dans les quartiers, en tout cas, il y a la maladie, on ne sait pas, nous appelons ça, ici on appelle Buka Buka. On ne sait pas, en tout cas, c'est presque dans beaucoup de maisons. Et nous donnons souvent en ce qui concerne des conseils pour dire aux gens de ne pas se saluer et d'éviter surtout de marcher sans cache-nez, et de montrer aux gens comment il faut se conduire pour que cette maladie-là ne puisse pas les atteindre facilement. C'est ce que nous faisons ici sur terre.
After this brief interview, we were invited to participate in the public awareness activity. Less than a kilometer from the church, a new family has just settled. The leader takes the opportunity to introduce the SEC program and urges the family to join this great victorious army that aims to transform the world in Jesus Christ. Very moved and happy with this message of love, the father of the family does not hesitate to make an appointment for the next meeting.
Atindi biso awa na mokili na ye akina basali na ye pote bapesa biso conseil te ba eti yaza azali soki atindaki basali ayebaki ntina me akor baponi bino oye mpe awa pote bolisa biso so bilei ya moke oyo ekoki na ntango oyo tobengami merci bandeko soki bazwi ntango baza na droit ya kokutaka bino na etonga po etonga ezali bika tokimelaka. balobi ata docteur azotraite mais soki nzambe alobi non moto abika les telles sociétés ezaka mpa nzambe bango mpe ntango ekoki bajour kutu ezalaka mwasi nyonso akimaka na église mwasi ya malamu abombaka ndako na ye na église ntango ekoki banoya kati na etonga banoya kokuta bino tozalaka ensemble.
What could be happier than to win a soul for the Lord? How beautiful are the feet of those who proclaim peace, of those who proclaim good news. Aiming for a holistic transformation of man, in this time of universal health crisis, the SEC team at Bethlehem Church of the Eternal decided to focus on preventing disease in their communities. Here an ASEC is sensitizing this mother family on the barrier measures facing this pandemic. It must be said that although present, many of the inhabitants of this region remain skeptical. However, after repeated awareness raising, we can observe a slight change in mentality.
Faut qu'on respecte surtout mesures barrières, même s'il faut qu'on respecte yango, 1 mètre cache-nez, qu'on soit lave-main na biso, et surtout nous on a bana boye, obimisi lave-main, otie savon liquide, ata mwana uti classe soka ye, asokoli maboko, si makokota na ndako. Soki papa uti mosala ye, apakota na ndako, asokoli maboko, ata même yo moko ndongo sala mosala bo, soko bimi déjà libanda lopango, et okoti na ndako, apokota afo, osokola maboko, maladi coronavirus ezali solo.
As we drive to our next home, our host explains some of the challenges facing the residents of the site, one of which is the water shortage.
Notre joie quand il y a la pluie, c'est d'avoir de l'eau.
Wow.
Tandis que la pluie joue des rôles ici chez nous. Ça nous donne de l'eau, tandis que ça abîme aussi la route. Donc nous avons des difficultés terribles. On est en train de faire taper des portes par-ci par-là, de frapper des portes par-ci par-là, pour avoir le fisc, quelqu'un qui peut nous aider pour qu'on puisse avoir de l'eau. La population qui est ici, c'est la population de la population de plus de 50 000 personnes. Mais ce que nous voyons en tout cas, c'est comme si le quartier est abandonné. C'est comme si le quartier est abandonné, nous avons des difficultés d'eau, de courant, ça ne fait pas longtemps que le courant est entré ici.
Faced with this sad reality, the SEC program is an encouraging initiative that revitalizes the population of this site. Through these lessons on development, several positive changes are observed at the site level. We make our way to the house of one of the church's faithful.
De Papa Kambale, Maman Micheline, l'avenue c'est l'avenue Diakese.
At Papa Campbell, member of the church, the SEC team discussed malaria prevention. Malaria is one of the biggest causes of death in DR Congo. Our round will thus end.
Je glorifie beaucoup Dieu parce que depuis que l'église a été implantée, il y a beaucoup d'impact. Il y a beaucoup de cas de transformation. Je vais parler d'abord en ce qui concerne d'abord le milieu. Et planter dans de tels milieux, ce n'est pas facile. Nous avons vu des combats et ça continue, mais on ne craint pas. Le grand problème que nous avons ici, c'était quoi? Les gens ne savaient pas, ne connaissaient pas Dieu. Les gens ne connaissaient pas Dieu. Ici, c'était la fétiche, soit sorcellerie, soit... Donc, chaque personne se conduisait de sa manière. Mais depuis que l'église est implantée ici, ça fait 4 ans. En tout cas, il y a beaucoup de cas de transformation. Nous les voyons même vis-à-vis des gens et leur comportement d'abord. Tout d'abord, les gens ne craignaient personne. Donc, les gens chaque personne faisait ce qu'il voyait qu'il peut faire. Soit fétiche, sorcellerie, il vient, il vous dit comme ça, moi je vais vous combattre comme ça, physiquement comme ça. Et il vient, il vous attaque. Mais Dieu merci parce que depuis que l'église est implantée ici, nous avons vu beaucoup de cas de transformation. Vous savez que gagner la famille dans presque 40 ou 50 familles, ce n'est pas facile. Ce n'est pas facile. Avec l'aide de Dieu, le Seigneur nous a aidés en tout cas. Nous nous avons eu à gagner des âmes, de papa, de maman, en tout cas, c'est presque de famille. Et le Seigneur a transformé beaucoup de gens en ce qui est comme de preuves que nous avons. Il y avait les enfants n'étudiaient pas. En tout cas, grâce à cette implantation, nous avons vu le Seigneur a aidé les autres enfants à étudier. Nous avons presque 4 ou 5 diplômés qui ont reçu leur diplôme. Il y a les autres qui sont à l'université. Nous attendons aussi cette année aussi presque 3 ou 4 personnes qui vont présenter aussi cette année ici. Et nous avons vu ce qui est un peu ce que nous aimons. Pourquoi? Parce que nous avons vu le maman ne s'intéressait pas, le parent ne s'intéressait pas en ce qui concerne les études des enfants. Mais nous avons vu que les parents ont eu cette soif-là de faire étudier les enfants et d'éduquer les enfants selon la parole de Dieu. Les enfants sont transformés. Il y a même des maisons qui sont transformées, voire même le mariage. Parce qu'il y avait des combats dans des maisons, l'homme et la femme. Chaque fois, on nous appelait allez là-bas, mais grâce à cette implantation, nous avons vu que les familles sont devenues stables. Il y a même des enfants qui se convertissent. Le parent, en voyant même la femme qui était venue avec ses enfants, après quelques temps, c'est le mari maintenant qui s'amène. En tout cas, nous avons vu qu'il y a beaucoup de transformations, il y a beaucoup de changements dans des maisons, dans des familles, et le Seigneur se fait voir en tout cas puissamment.
Once the visit is over to the Bethlehem Church of the Eternal, we resume our journey to our last destination, the local church Confraternidictus. The church is located about 10 kilometers from the Bethlehem Church of the Eternal, in the locality of Seek. There, we find Pastor Diomirci Ndogala and a representation of the ASEC team with whom we discussed the impact of the SEC program in his community.
Responsable du programme SEC awa azali moko ya baformateur abengami na komba pasteur Dieu merci Ndongala tozali biso mbale na papa Piero ye azali pe moko ya baformateur bandeko mosusu oyo basalaka na biso na kati ya baformateur badeplace kotalisa biso makambo ebele banda tobandaki tozali komona ete changement ezali kokota mwa moke ndakisa okomona lopango tozwami ezalaki boye te. Mais grâce na programme oyo ndeko asosoli ke kofana na milieu eza salite ezali pena malamu te nde omonaki ete bamekaki kobongisa mpe bazokata epuis soki otali bavie ya bato santi ke mwa pole ezali kokota bazali kososaki bomoto donc programme oyo ezali koinfluence vraiment kokota meme na kati ya mitema kochange meme elobeli ya bato ozosanti ke ezali kochange efandeli na kati ya quartier misala na bango vi na bango programme SEC ezali koaméliorer bango de temps en temps na bamateya oyo tozali kotalisa bango vraiment tozongisi mpena matondo mingi na bainitiateur oyo bayaki kopesa biso formation ya SEC oyo ndenge nini ezali koimpacte na kati ya milie na biso kokonstate vraiment bato bazali prêt ya koyamba yango ntango bazali komemela bango sango malamu d'un côté botalisi bango kibomoto vraiment bazosepela makasi la preuve ane d'ailleurs okonstate yo moko ndenge ozwi baimage bato ndenge nini
Faced with several major challenges, the delegation told us about some of their projects for the development of their community, to our great satisfaction.
Nous sommes dans un milieu également difficile pour vivre yango. Ceux qui ont été malades pour que nous ayons traitement, vraiment il faut faire des trajets et des trajets. C'est ainsi dans le programme SEC, comment mettre en place, pourquoi pas un établissement pharmaceutique, juste pour des soins élémentaires, pour faire ça, aspirine, paracétamol, pour que nous vivre en yango. Et en dehors de ça, nous avons un programme que nous mettre en place, toujours dans le programme SEC, où tozali kotia en place une mutualité toujours ezali ko regrouper bato bazali ko constater tozali komona mbongo wana pourquoi parce que bayaka ko sangana na kati ya programme yana kotia ta mwa muke et soki pas na posa ya ko défendre moi quelque chose et ya ko zongisa par après tozali pe ko sala yango vraiment tozali ko senga vraiment nzambe asunga docteur Nzuzi pour que ayeba ko sala davantage atika te alemba te akende liboso pe nzambe akopambola ne équipe mobimba ya papa Damo. Voilà, merci beaucoup.
Super.
Well, I don't know. For some reasons, we tried to implement the HA movement in this area. This is where we live. It's called UPenn, and most of the people here are intellectual and with well-paid jobs. It seems like they feel that this kind of programs is for people who are poor. They don't have time. But anyway, as you see, this is a time that we are bringing them together and try to relaunch again the vision, hoping that the next time they will catch up. Anyway, this is God's job. You have to keep, to keep knocking, to keep trying. But I believe that next time, the program will stand again back, and then we will see change and transformation in our community. We are going to sing this song.
Amen.
Debout, Sainte-Corotte, soldats du roi des rois, tenez d'une main forte l'étendard de la croix. Au sentier de la gloire, Jésus-Christ nous conduit, de victoire en victoire, il mène et qui les suit. La trompette résonne, de vous vaillants soldats, l'immortelle couronne et les cris de combat. Si l'ennemi fait rage, soyez fermes et forts, redoublez de courage, si redoublez d'efforts. Once more I said, come please, come here in Congo. Come visit us, and then you will see things on the ground, first hand, and you will be amazed. Please come to Kinshasa.
We hate to leave, but now we must return home. We want to say thank you to Nzuzi and Chantal for sharing with us what God has done and is continuing to do through their efforts. There is great cause for excitement as there are many opportunities to expand the work being done. But Nzuzi and Chantal and the people of the DRC could use your help. They need your prayers, first of all. They also need more funding in order to take the message of Jesus through Che into more villages so more lives can be saved, both physically and spiritually. Will you consider helping? If so, there will be a slide at the end of this video with a web address and also a mailing address where you can send donations for their work. Thank you for prayerfully considering supporting this life-saving and life-changing ministry.